how a meeting with a sexy femdom saved my marriage. Claire started to smother my wife's face with her giant teats. After around 10 minutes of this, Claire swung around and sat firmly on my wife's face. There they both were, eating one another's pussy while I, still naked from the waist down, held down my wife's shaking legs. My wife and I have always liked to experiment in the bedroom. We used to love nothing more than to film ourselves having sex in every imaginable position. Of course, like all things, our sexy activities started to become a little boring and repetitive. It was during this time that we both decided to take things to the next level and invite other people to our steamy sex sessions. We trawled the local classified ads and started to discreetly ask around. We finally met a couple who were looking for exactly the same thing. We decided to meet for dinner and, as you might expect, one thing led to another. Before I knew what was happening, I was being pleasured orally by the married woman I had just met. Meanwhile, my wife was enjoying some rough doggy action with her husband. We all climaxed like never before and finished off a fantastic evening with a few cocktails. Now, you might be wondering what happened next, and I can tell you, we enjoyed that couple once a month for the next 2 years. But this is just the first part of my story. You'll need to read on for more. We started looking for a femdom with attitude, as you might expect. 2 years of enjoying the same extramarital relationship started to become a little monotonous. It was at this point that my wife and I decided to look for something completely different. And you're probably thinking, what was that? Well, we thought we'd try sharing just one person. Up until this point, we had always enjoyed group sex with at least 2 other people. So the thought of us both exploring the same woman's naked body at the same time quite a turn on. And do you want to know the most exciting part? Well, we both agreed that we would both like to be dominated. Neither of us had ever experienced something like that before, and what better way to experience it for the first time than together? So, I signed us both up with a major dating website specializing in casual sex, and we started looking for a femdom who ticked all our boxes. Our shopping list included massive breasts, a slutty look, thick thighs, experience, and a woman who wasn't afraid to get a little rough. We met our sexy femdom for the first time. We whittled the choices of femdom down to 3 women. My wife has always wanted to be squashed by a massive pair of teats, and I've always fancied being tied up and whipped by a tall, muscular woman. After a great deal of deliberation, we decided to arrange a date with a 40-year-old woman called Claire. We arranged to meet this rather buxom woman in a nearby restaurant, but you won't believe what happened. We never even got around to eating or drinking anything. As soon as Claire walked towards us, we all knew we'd be naked and in ecstasy within a matter of minutes. So we rushed home, but before I could say anything, Claire was taking control. She ordered me to sit on the bed while she started to angrily rip off my wife's clothes. My wife was then forced to beg to be smothered with Claire's giant, pendulous breasts. Now naked, my wife was pleading for a smothering, but Claire then turned to me. Without warning, the femdom we'd barely said a word to pulled the giant whip from her bag. Our date with the sexy femdom was better than we could have ever imagined. By this time my wife was naked, playing with her pussy on the bed. Claire had given her permission. I was then ordered to pull down my pants and bend over the same bed like a good boy. I was told I would be even more severely punished if I got an erection. The moment I bent over, I felt the piercing lashes of a leather whip against the bare skin of my ass. I shrieked in pain, begging Claire to stop. However, inside, I was so turned on I could have climaxed there and then. After a few minutes of whipping, Claire ordered me to get an erection. She then undid the tight, leather trousers she was wearing and ordered me to fuck her. But what happened next surprised both me and my wife. Claire bent over the bed and started to lick my wife's pussy. I was then made to fuck our new friend while her tongue was inside my wife. Needless to say, I shot my load quite quickly, but neither Claire nor my wife had been sufficiently satisfied at this point. Now angrier than ever, our big-breasted femdom ordered me to tie my wife's wrists to the headboard of the bed. I was then made to hold down my wife's legs. Without a word, Claire started to smother my wife's face with her giant teats. After around 10 minutes of this, Claire swung around and sat firmly on my wife's face. There they both were, eating one another's pussy while I, still naked from the waist down, held down my wife's shaking legs. Claire climaxed first. She then ordered me to suck my wife's tits while she worked on the clitoris. I've never ever heard my wife scream so hard. She climaxed like she hadn't been touched for years. As you can imagine, we had booked another sexy date with our new femdom friend by the time she left. Since that first meeting, my wife and I now enjoy 4 different sexy femdoms regularly. Actually, we call Friday night Femdom night. We've even created a little dungeon in our spare room to add to the excitement. We have a selection of whips, chains and domination equipment. Bringing a third party into a sex life has saved our marriage. We enjoy 2 or 3 hours of Femdom action every Friday, but for the rest of the week, we spend quality time together, working at our marriage. I think every married couple should have their very own Femdom.